everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hopry. My name is Starr, and tonight we're going to drink some beer. I think it was back in January, I got the issue of Draft Magazine where they called out the 25 best beers of 2009. Now, of course, I freaked out and was excited to see what was on their list. I wanted to see how many of them on that list I had actually tried. At the time, I think maybe only, 3 to 5-ish. So not a very large number of those beers. I became very intrigued by one in particular. It's brought by a brewery called Struise. And this is called their Pannepot. It is an old fisherman's ale. The bottle here says that it is an ale brewed with spices. And the alcohol by volume on this one is 10%. But I've seen this in other magazines as well. So this has had quite a few accolades. So about 3-4 weeks ago, I was visiting St. Louis, and we went to a really nice beer bar. If you ever find yourself in St. Louis, try to look it up. I believe it's called the 33 Wine and Beer Tasting Room. I think that's the name of it. I apologize. I'll put the real name and the website up in the notes on YouTube. But definitely get out there and try that place. But we had a really busy day. We showed up to the 33 Wine Bar that night and saddled up to the bar, and I went through their really impressive list, and I noticed that they had the Pannepot, and boy, let me tell you, it was rainy that night. It was a bit chilly, and this beer just sounded like it might hit the spot, and I wasn't wrong. It was a really good beer that I enjoyed pretty much all the way down to the bottom of the glass. So I thought I would share my experience with you on this one. This is another beer that's imported by the Shelton brothers. Like I said, they're really good about getting those hard to find beers over in some of these smaller European countries. So anyway, without going too far, let's go ahead and open this one. And I think for some reason I like to kind of let this one sit out of the fridge just a little bit because it has so much alcohol in it and because it has so many flavors. I really don't want the cold to mask that. So I've had this one sitting out, my normal time, about 10-15 minutes. I think that that's usually a pretty good amount of time. Now, if it's cold outside, you can probably put these beers in your garage, and that's a good place to kind of hold them for 2 or 3 hours before you drink them. And I found that that really kind of helps give you the perfect temperature when trying to smell these and get the aromas. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pour it in here and get to going. Alright. So this is really kind of a chocolate brown color. It's not completely opaque. In fact, if you hold it up to a light, you can see just faint little spots of like a dark amber red color. But it's mostly brown. The head on this one, not real small bubbles. It's not as foamy as, say, a Imperial Stout might be. But, I've poured this, 30-40 seconds ago, and it really hasn't gone anywhere. So there's really good head retention on here. And I actually really like the color of this one. It's almost on the verge of being opaque. But you can kind of see through it just a little bit. So let me go ahead and smell it. Man, there's not a ton of caramel in this, but you can almost smell like a light vanilla caramel smell in here. I get some of the darker fruits like figs, maybe dark raisins. What's funny with this one too is that every once in a while, and I don't know why this doesn't happen every time I smell it, but I tend to get a little bit of ginger in there as well, maybe even lemongrass. There's something in that that range, that astringent sort of smell that I pull out of this beer. And again, you know, I say this all the time, but when you let these beers sit out, they do start to change flavors, and the smells do start to change as it warms up. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe as I go through the bottle, I just experience a lot. And I actually think that's pretty fun. When you can have a beer that starts off as one thing and progresses into something else, it really is a great beer experience. So I'm going to go ahead and start drinking this one, and we'll see how it tastes. I mean, wow. That's really, really complex. It's like if you were to take some figs and raisins and put them in a roasting pan and just lightly drizzle them with maple syrup and roast them until they really kind of take on, you know, the flavor of the syrup, and it brings out all those flavors of the raisins and figs, and maybe you put a little bit of spice in there. Again, like I said, maybe just a little bit of ginger. That's kind of what you get out of this beer. I'm finding it really enjoyable for this time of year as well. Let's give it another sip. I mean, it's just really complex. You can kind of, it's like there are flavors in here that your brain recognizes, but you can't remember where you recognize that flavor or that smell from. And I like that about beers. I like a beer that's not completely obvious the first time you smell it or the first time you taste it. This one can really almost be a different experience anytime you have it. Let me go ahead and smell it a little bit more though too, because I think that's the fun part. Maybe almost like, you know, I know a lot of chefs there for a while. One of their big things was taking fresh strawberries and like a 50-year-old or a 100-year-old balsamic vinegar and just lightly drizzling them with that. You know, when a balsamic vinegar starts to get really old like that, it begins to get a lot sweeter. Now you can tell that because it's a vinegar, it still has a slight bit of tartness. I won't say that there's a lot of tartness in this beer, but I can tell that it's in there. It's way down in there. And the more you taste it and the more you smell it, I think the more that will come out. See, and I got a lot of ginger on that drink, so definitely lots of plums though. I'm getting those really dark fruits. Like, you know what's a really good one? Have you ever had a date? You know how they're sticky? You cut them open, you pull that little seed out. If you were to smell the inside of that date, I think that's probably, that and a fig and a little bit of syrup is probably about as close to the flavors that you're going to get. And I'll tell you, I would be willing to bet that this would be an insanely good beer on Thanksgiving Day. So you've got your sweet potatoes, you've got your fresh turkey. I would imagine that this would probably be the beer to drink for Thanksgiving. In fact, I've got about 2 more of these sitting back here in the room, and I think I'm going to take these with me when we go to visit our family for Thanksgiving. And I'm definitely going to put these in the fridge when we get there and maybe have 1 or 2 of these for Thanksgiving. But excellent beer. Well guys, thanks a lot for coming back. I'm not sure what session this is, though I think we're getting up around 9 or 10. And I've been getting quite a few hits on these, and you know, I'd really like to hear your thoughts on these reviews. If you could leave some comments for me, you know, what you like about the videos, what you don't like about the videos. Is there a specific type of beer that you would like me to review? Is there a specific brewery or a specific label? If it's something that I can get in this area, I'll try to do my best to get that and share it with you. But anyway, again, if you're following me on Twitter, you can go to www.twitter.com/thehopry, and you know, I'm up there, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, and I'll usually update what I'm drinking, what I'm reviewing. When I post a new review, you'll get to know that as well. So anyway, Thanks again, guys, for coming back to the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr, and we'll see you next time.